Thank you for auditing Professor Sky's Record Review, the always positive new music review show hosted by a French professor who's still slowly getting his office together. I'm just moving in for the semester. Got a new office. It's bigger. It's nice. I was actually cleaning up and I found this old book, Hip Hop America by Nelson George. This is the book that got me into the concept of hip-hop scholarship. If you've never read it, it's really good. But I'm going to be talking about Kanye. I love talking about Kanye. It's my favorite subject. It's actually probably my favorite thing to talk about in the entire world. And I don't talk about it that much on this channel. I'm trying to more. And I'm going to be talking about the Chicago listening party. Now listen, I just did a review a couple weeks ago about the Atlanta listening party. And for that, I had a very philosophical point in which I explained why Kanye is the world's most successful performance artist. I put it in the greater context of performance art and what does it mean. I'll include a link to it up there. It's one of my better videos. I'm super proud of that one. I want to make a couple things clear. One, I never said he was the best performance artist, okay? I said he was the most successful. Those are very different things, right? Now, he happens to be my favorite, but I don't think objectively you can say he is the best performance artist of all time. It's kind of silly anyways. And also, I didn't talk a lot about his collaborator, Demna Gvasalia. That's just because, I don't know. Kanye is one of the great collaborators of all time, and I think his collaborators deserve credit, but it's really still his vision that we're seeing. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time talking about the concept, the performance art of this Chicago performance. But I will say that we're in the middle of a much larger performance. As I'm recording this right now, on the 27th of August, you know, as we're right here, we're in the middle of this performance art in which Kanye is intentionally or unintentionally allowing us to analyze and understand the artistic process. Or process, if you're from Canada. Like, how does an artist make something, and what is the drafting process, and how do things get set, and what's the sequencing, you know? This sort of question of like the content of all the music is right there, but he's mixing around the forms of the songs and putting one there and another here to the point where the track order actually changes the meaning of the album itself. The artists who are featured and then taken off and then put in and then taken off are all part of the art. You know, we often use the word gold to define things as being good. The reason that gold is so great is not that it's rare, but that it's the most malleable metal, which means it can be moved around the most. And Kanye's art is gold. And he shows that by giving us an object and then not giving us a definitive version of it. Always forcing us to contend with the temporality of art, with the changing nature of art, with its ineffable qualities, not giving us concrete blocks, gigantic sculptures that we can look at and say, you know, that is the Arc de Triomphe, and this is what sculpture looks like. It's constantly moving, it's constantly malleable. Donda, the album, we are listening to it now, and when he gives us something that is complete, a final version, that itself will not be complete. This is part of the album. All of the versions in one. The final version, the remixes, all three versions, they are all in one. I will say musically, I am happy with this Chicago version. I think every song sounds better, the mixing sounds better, Kanye's rapping is way better. This has a ton of, I'm not gonna do a breakdown of every song, but just so many just bars and bars of just great. Some of his best rapping I've ever heard is what I heard last night. I'm not going to talk too much about each of the songs, but what I thought I would do, because, you know, the last video I did, I'm super proud of and a super highbrow, and what is performance art? Marina Abramovich. I'm just going to do a cheesy internet thing. The top 5 most shocking moments in Kanye West's Chicago listening party. I'm gonna do a top 5 list because I think shock is the primary feeling that I had, right? I would say for the last one is mostly awe. I was inspired and I was just in awe. There's an expression in French, bouche bée, like your mouth just like, ah, like that's how I was watching the last one. This time it's just shock. Everything was shocking. So what are the 5 most shocking moments of the Chicago listening party? Number 5 was just the set. The set was shocking. To see a house recreated so faithfully is just completely bizarre and so well done and so well made. It evoked so many things, right? I mean, it was on a hill with a big cross. So you're thinking a little bit of like the crucifixion Calvary Hill, right? There appears to be like a prison around it. So it makes you think of house arrest, and we're going to get to the themes of imprisonment, which were central to this. I want to say that were central to this version of the album. A different version of the same album with the same material mixed around in a different area would actually be a different result. Sorry, I'm looking for this, I'm looking to see if I have any Pascal here I could bring out, because he was an interesting philosopher. Ah, here we go. Pascal was an interesting philosopher who talked about the way that all of life can be compared to, well, they didn't have tennis, it's called jeu de paume, but we'll call it tennis, that everything in life is like a tennis ball, and nothing changes, it just changes placement on the court. And that's what Kanye is doing with each of his songs. He's just bouncing them all over the place, and in doing that, recontextualizing it. So we have this sort of like house arrest. These people are imprisoned in the house, while at the same time we have a house, while we also have these little fire extinguishers next to the house, which makes us think that the house might burn down. And if the house burns down, that means that the cross is going to burn down. Now all of a sudden, you have a black family with a burning cross. All of these things are potentialities. And when you're sitting there and you're waiting for the stream to start, the goddamn stream to start, the 2 hours late stream to start, that ruin my whole evening and make my wife wait forever, 2 hours, we might end up with the potential of some kind of racial commentary, which I don't think fundamentally came here. So that's the first shock, just the effectiveness of this set. The fourth shock is pretty evident, the changes to the songs. Now listen, I talked a big game in one of my Kanye videos about how I don't listen to his unofficial versions. I just don't do it. You see, I believe in the artist's final project, and I would never listen to unfinished drafts. I can't help it, okay? I found a version of the video that was linked by watching The Throne, and I screen captured it, and I exported the audio to MP3, and then I put it on my phone, and I've been listening to it nonstop for the past 2 weeks. So I did the thing I said I wasn't going to do. And part of the reason I don't want to do it is I don't want to get attached to something that's not the final product. That's this weird thing, you know? The concept that the listener has their own version of the album. And Kanye is insistent. And one of his great things is that who cares? Who cares what you want, what you thought it was going to be, what you think the old Kanye is? It doesn't matter. It's this new thing. So the changes, for the most part, were good. But they were shocking. You know, taking Kid Cudi out of Moon was the biggest bummer. Taking Conway out of the song where 2 members of Griselda were on there, it sounds bad because I love Conway, but his verse wasn't actually that good. The best change was taking the locks off of one of the songs. There was this interesting song about like Jesus Set Me Free, and it was a great beat and had these great guest appearance by Jay Electronica. But then it's like 11 minutes long, so you have to go through all 3 members of the locks, and like they're great. I like the locks, but that was a great cut. And then we get to the biggest possible shock. The entire thing starting with the song Jail. And if you've been like me, and you've been listening to the different versions, and you've been thinking about this album nonstop for a couple months, and you remember when you heard Jay-Z on there, and this is the return of the throne, and put the red hat away, it's this really exciting thing. And Kanye yanked it right off, and replaced it with a "da baby" rhyme. Now listen, if you know me, you know I just did top 5 MCs of all time. Spoiler, I put Jay-Z at #1, the greatest rapper of all time. This is one thing I would like to emphasize in my channel and in my teaching. 2 contradictory things can be true at the same time with context and understanding. Jay-Z is the best rapper of all time. DaBaby's verse is 10 times better than Jay-Z's verse was. It is completely the right move. The Baby's verse has so much energy and just attack, and Jay-Z's verse was kind of like, it was good, it was funny, but it didn't have this energy. It totally made sense. Take the names away, take the Pepsi challenge, you're gonna take that DaBaby verse every single time. And Kanye doesn't care about what you think his album should sound like, who you think should be on there. That said, please put Kid Cudi back. I love that guy's voice. The number 3 shock was when I was sitting there watching this thing, and all the initial takes were like very far away, you know, like the videos. I was like, why is Uncle Fester on the porch with Kanye? I really thought it was somebody playing the character from the Addams Family, Uncle Fester. After a little bit longer, it was Marilyn Manson. I am just old enough to have spent my entire life not taking Marilyn Manson seriously. If I was like a year younger, I would have thought he was this cool edgelord dude. If I was like a couple years older, I would have like seen him as an interesting thing. I was at exactly the age to never take him seriously. Of all the bizarre, random figures in the past, Marilyn Manson is a fascinating one. That was completely shocking. And the fact that he stayed there the whole time, and I'm going to talk about Marilyn Manson soon. I'm not going to ignore the sexual abuse allegations. I'm getting to those soon, so please don't worry. Regardless of those allegations, the performance he had to give to just sit awkwardly on a porch, the only unmasked person who's constantly performing, constantly there, it was a really bizarre and interesting performance on his part. The number 2 most shocking thing, you might think I'm going to say, it's Kim Kardashian coming back at the end, dressed all in white. You might think that it's how, I think it's supposed to be kind of so like Orpheus and Eurydice, you know, kind of like a woman taking a man out of hell, that kind of image, kind of a traditional image, you know, maybe a little bit from Dante as well, you know, just the concept of a beautiful woman leading a man out of hell, and it's going to fit thematically. You might think that's what I'm saying is the most shocking part. I'm not there yet. Also, as far as performance art goes, if he doesn't remarry Kim, if they don't get back together, that makes this 1,000 times better thematically and more interesting. And I'll get to that soon. But that's not it. It's not that she's back there. The most shocking thing was when Kanye took his face off, his mask off, he gave a completely authentic smile. Like, he was just so happy. And with the mask on all the time, you never think Kanye's happy. You think he's the angry Kanye, the intense Kanye, the super severe Kanye who's trying to make the perfect album and don't swear, and you can't possibly do it, right? He's playing this like month-long game of peekaboo where we don't see his face. And then when you do see his face, he's just totally happy. He's seeing this woman who he loves, or more importantly, the woman with whom he's made a family. And the look on his face is not performed. It is just a sincere smile. It's actually moving me right now. I do this sometimes, but I am actually getting goosebumps thinking about that moment. This oddly human moment from somebody who's trying to be superhuman, for someone who's trying to be everything and trying to do so much that he's just happy. An amazing moment that breaks the performance in some ways. Finally, the most shocking moment shouldn't be too surprising to you. Kanye set himself on fire. A human being set himself on fire. A non-stunt person intentionally, I don't care if he's wearing a fireproof suit, set himself on fire and walked around. Hey, Jeff Bezos, with your hat and you're laughing about exploiting everybody and flying into space and your penis and all that. That's not impressive. That you want to impress me with putting your life in danger for some kind of bizarre project. Why don't you try setting yourself on fire for an amazing performance art piece seen by over 5 million people? I heard some people complaining, and I read some reports of people complaining that Kanye didn't burn down the house itself. You are missing the point. If he did burn down the house, what is he saying? He is saying this place that my mom raised me, that Donda raised me, and even if it's small, and even if it's in a bad neighborhood, and even if I now live in a mansion, this is where he began. To burn the house down would actually be burning, and it would be an insult to his mother. Instead, it's the beauty of this human being burning himself and being reborn as a phoenix, an oddly pagan ritual, I would say, right? He's not being bathed in the water. There's no, the Jesus, the last white-clad figure who I remember seeing ending a Kanye show was Jesus at the end of the Yeezus show. Instead, here we have Kim Kardashian. We're finding that it's possible to be saved, but it's definitely not with burning down the memory of your mother. It's with burning down yourself, becoming somebody new, and finding love through the people you're connected to, not through Jesus. So let's talk about this, okay? Let's talk about the greater themes that are going on here. Like, why the hell is Marilyn Manson on here? The guys on Watching the Throne alluded to this as well, so it's interesting. We both had the same kind of thoughts about watching this. There's definitely, this version is about incarceration and freedom, bondage and liberation, right? It starts off with the song Jail and ends with him burning up and then taking off the mask and becoming a new person with a woman that he loves, or a representation of a woman that he loves, or a representation of the family that he might possibly have. In order to have this metaphor work, I think Kanye is not just being obnoxious or stirring controversy or red-hatted. I think we'll call annoying, obnoxious Kanye the red-hot Kanye. Marilyn Manson, by all accounts, is probably guilty, right? I don't know. It seems as though he's guilty based on the patterns of his accusers. Anyways, doesn't matter. I don't know the answers, but I would say that it seems that way, right? Of being an abusive partner. We also have the baby, who is accused and very evidently committed acts of homophobia. We also have Larry Hoover, the leader of a Chicago gang who is in jail, okay, and was a criminal. We also have this whole other thing where like this rap artist from Chicago sings a whole song about that gang that's not even on the album. It's just an individual song, I guess, for the Chicago audience. I don't know. And then we even have one of the guest verses by Lil Yachty where he talks about abusing his partner. These people are guilty. They are guilty of crimes. There's no question of, I mean, there's some question, I guess, in Marilyn Manson's case, but there is no question these people are admitting to or have plainly done something that is wrong, that they need to atone for. And I suppose Kanye feels the same way about himself. So having them there, let's see if I can stick the landing here, having them there emphasizes this idea that we're all human, we all make mistakes, and through Jesus, but really through our work on ourselves and through our connections to people that love us, we can be freed of that and off and away. So I think that's why Marilyn Manson's on there. But I'll tell you, it bummed me out the entire time. I was just like, why are we platforming this guy? Why are we platforming this guy? But as always, Kanye doesn't care what you think about his art. He cares about what he thinks about his art. And it's just up to us to try to figure it out. Okay, so there we go. Secretly, there's this like virtual meeting I'm supposed to be on right now. And I have it on in the background, but there's nobody there. Like, I'm supposed to be on call in case somebody needs me. So fortunately, no one's been there. So hey, like my videos, comment on my videos. What was the most shocking moment for you? What do you make of Marilyn Manson or Uncle Fester being there? These are my Patreons. These are people who help me buy music. I take all the money that you give me, these people give me, and I buy music with it. I'm going to be buying music pretty soon for August. So thank you to all these folks. It's a fun idea. I put on some videos there too and kind of hang out and talk. Okay, great. I'm going to prepare some syllabi, send out some emails, and until next time, there's the camera.